Hey guys, welcome to my video here today where I'm going to be giving you all my tips and tricks on how to qualify and hopefully qualify first in the Bubble Trouble round of Fall Guys. So the name of the game here, obviously, you want to pop 15 bubbles and be one of those people that manage to make it to the next round. If you're not quick enough and your opponents do pop those 15 bubbles before you, enough of your opponents rather, you miss out and you're eliminated. So the main issue you'll find with this game mode here is when the bubbles do spawn in one of those set areas, every single, or pretty much every single one of your opponents is going to swarm towards that area to try and pop the bubbles. Now normally in this game mode, you'll see as you go around the turntable there's a few different spawn areas. And normally two of those spawn areas for the bubbles have bubbles at any given time. So bubbles will start spawning, everyone will run over and start trying to pop them. After a certain amount of time the bubbles will stop spawning and end up moving on to another zone, start spawning in another zone. So the main strategy I can give you guys with this game mode here is to use that middle turntable in the middle of the map there. This is your best friend. So what you want to do is when the bubbles start spawning, run over, start trying to pop as many bubbles as you can. The longer you're in a spawn zone for the bubbles, the more of your opponents that are going to run over and start popping the bubbles as well. Now once that spawn area for the bubbles does start to fill up with your opponents and the bubbles stop spawning, what you want to do is run back to the middle turntable, keep going around and keep an eye out for where the bubbles are going to spawn next. When the bubbles do spawn, hop up, run over and start popping them. It's a lot easier to pop bubbles when you've got less opponents competing for those bubbles. So say in one area you've been popping bubbles, all of a sudden the area is full with opponents, hop off, go to the middle turntable. And even if you are spending more time away from the bubbles just because you're waiting for the fresh set of bubbles to spawn, it works out being a lot easier than trying to compete with all your opponents for that smaller amount of bubbles. So now as the title of the video does suggest, I'm trying to give you guys tips and tricks to obviously qualify first in this game mode. But in saying that, as the game mode does go on, it becomes easier to pop the bubbles simply because of the fact you've got less opponents that you are competing against. So as the game does go on, you've got less opponents, there's more bubbles, you've got less competition in the round. So the game mode can tend to get easier as it does go on. But obviously you do still want to get quite a strong start, because if you haven't got enough bubbles popped by the time some of your opponents start obviously finishing the round, you won't have enough time to pop enough bubbles to finish. So that's my main strategy, is try and get to those zones when the bubbles freshly spawn. You've got less competition, pop as many as you can. Once that zone starts to fill up, head back to that middle turntable, use that to see where the next zone of bubbles is going to spawn and go from there. So the less people you're competing against in one of those zones, the better, the easier it is for you to pop those bubbles. So that's pretty much the main strategy, the main tips and tricks rather I can give you guys for beating the Bubble Trouble or qualifying from the Bubble Trouble round in Fall Guys. If this video did help you out at all, please do subscribe, leave a comment. It always helps me out, and stay tuned for the rest of my tips and tricks videos that I'm going to be doing for the various rounds in Fall Guys. Thank you very much for watching, guys, and enjoy the rest of your day.